A little bit about me. I'm a Chalk family. I grew up here my whole life. James Craig, Matthew Henson, McDonald High School. So, I'm a product of Chalk High School schools because I got a leadership in pop Chalk schools. I want this county to be better than I got. I want my daughters to come here and have the same great experience and values that I had as a child. I love the fact that our county is growing. I tell people a lot of times, this used to be the area where I would reach high school and come high down because this was all woods and nothing was involved except solid stone and like some traffic lights and maybe McDonald's. But now look at you. You have beautiful homes. I know you have to pay a lot of money, just like I pay a lot of money in the district for. But this is a great start, but not yet. This has to be the county moving forward. This is just a step forward for us. The charter is an avenue that possibly could get us there. It may not, but I would rather take a look and see rather than, oh, it never worked, and just throw it away. Well, it doesn't suit my interest, so absolutely not. I'm not going to do that. That's not how government works. Government works, hey, maybe I would feel that way, but if it's the best thing for everybody, I got to suck it up. If it's the best way for everybody, I got to do the best for everybody. And so for me, it was never about personal gratification or credit or legacy or any of that stuff. It was always about what's going to be the best thing for my kids, my mom's grandkids, my grandkids, everybody down the line. So that's the only reason why I'm doing this and being an advocate for. You guys have a choice in what our government looks like. So 3 of us decided what's best for everyone else. And so with that, I think I'm done talking. And so I would like to introduce to my left here, Mr. Greg Waring. Greg Waring is the president of the Charter Board. Greg is also a Charles County resident, very proud. Kids in the school system, right? Yes. Yes. Two, yes, 2 kids in the school system. So once again, you see, Greg is here because he has stayed in the community. And I appreciate you, Greg, for your service. I know it hasn't been easy. I know that you guys have received a lot of reach out for the community, but I appreciate you, and I want the community to see that and hear that. I appreciate you. So I'm very proud of having you as the Charter President. And to my right here is Eileen Britt. Eileen is also a member of our National Charter Board representing us here in District 4. Eileen is also the president of the HOA we're in the neighborhood field side, so sister in the struggle over here. Very much keeps me honest, but once again, a very staunch proponent of District 4 on the Charter Board to make sure that our interests are heard and our interests are involved and our interests are included in the formation of the Charter. So once again, Eileen, thank you very much for all your hard work. I know that's amazing. I know your personal sacrifices that you made. So I just want to thank you for your and how much I thank you for your what you done for us. So with that, I'm willing to go over the I would like to give the mic over to you guys to give us sort of an update as to where we're at in the process now. So I know you guys will have 4 different meetings, right? 4 more than 4. I've already gotten up to episode 4, so I need to be caught up. So can you give us a short overview as to where the charter is and how we move forward, like what has come forward with the charter so far?
Sure. And if I could take a step back, just briefly to say, you made a comment about the public is a bit unsure. There's been some uneasiness about what charter is. And I think the name charter in itself, creates a little bit of confusion. There's something unfamiliar. There's something different. What is this? Charter form government is all around at all levels of government, right? The federal government functions with a separate executive and legislature. Towns have a mayor and a council. Your state government functions as a governor and its own legislature. Charter government is, one, giving us autonomy from the state and being able to govern ourselves with our own laws, and we do that in Code 1 rule as well. But the big difference is the operations and structure. Charter government will have a separate elected executive branch to manage day-to-day government, and a separate elected county council whose responsibility will be enacting legislation, approving the budget, and at the end of the day, having oversight over the programs that they authorize the executive to manage. So we're talking about clear defined roles and responsibilities for an executive and a legislature. So this is an unusual. You see it all around you. Towns here in Charles County have it. Town of Plano, Indian Head has a mayor and council, and 11 other counties in the state of Maryland have charter government. So this board has the task of finalizing a charter document by next June. And at that point, we present it over to the Board of Charles County Commissioners. They publish it. Residents have a chance to see it. We turn it over in August to the Board of Elections. And by November 5th of 2024, you'll be voting on whether or not to approve a new governing structure for Charles County. So we've been meeting with experts who have managed in different forms of government across the state. We've taken public comment from you all on what you want to see in your next government. And we're set to have our first set of public hearings in November. We'll have 4, one by each district, between November and February of next year. But I have to tell you that we're working hard to listen and to hear from experts. So our board has heard from former Charles County administrators, the current council manager in Cecil County, Maryland, which is also a charter government. We have the county executive from Harford County, Maryland, north of Baltimore City, a county of about 265,000, about where Charles County is headed. And just recently, we heard from both Charles County Volunteer Fire and EMS, and we heard from Jan Gardner, the very first ever county executive for Frederick County, Maryland. Frederick County in 2012 was the most recent county that moved to charter form government. So we're being very diligent in hearing from who we need to hear from, but we really want to hear from you too. And we ask that in every meeting that our board has, you come out. We reserve the last 30 minutes for public comment. We want to hear what ideas you might have for what our government looks like. We want to know if you think we should have a police chief and a sheriff, or should we just retain all policing powers in our elected sheriff? We want to know if you think we should have career fire to complement our volunteer fire and career volunteer EMS. We want to know what you want to see in your future government. We want to know if you think that the county council should have a president that's elected at large, or should that council get to choose who the president of the council is to be the leader of that legislative body? So different areas around the county might have a chance to be the president of our new county council. So these are all the things we want to hear from you. We're trying to understand how powerful do you want the council to be? What type of checks do you want from our county executive? And we'll take all the feedback and put it in the document that we're going to have for you in June. So I'm sorry for the language, but just to kind of give you an idea of what our timeline process is.
Trust me, you gave me reiterating. I'd be remiss, I got ahead of my schedule. I have some dignitaries in the audience that I'd like to recognize. Of course, we had Commissioner Thompson of Coast District 2. To our right, leading the past District 20. We have James Crawford, alternate on the Charter Board. We have Ms. Mira Stokely, who is also a member of the Charter Board. We have Ms. Shawn Marks, the president of the Charles County Women's Democratic Club. Did I get that right? Yeah. All right, can I miss anything else? Anything else? Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Really quickly, something we did touch on that I gave term limits. Has that been the idea of term limits been approached?
So again, we're talking with executives in different counties. It's been recommended to us. By some of our speakers that we do consider term limits for the county executive. We've gotten some mixed feedback on whether or not we think the council should have term limits, or if councils naturally have a lot of churn in every election cycle, and term limits are not necessary there. So I personally, as Greg, the individual, thinks that voting is the ultimate check on whether or not someone should be in office. And with term limits, sometimes you might lose someone that's really good. But if you're worried about someone being in office too long and occupying too much time, I think term limits is something that we should consider. And I think our executive teams is strongly looking at the idea of term limits for the county executives. But that's something that we want to ask you all in the Q&A, if you think we should.
Thank you. And it's great. One of the questions that I remember hearing in our community, your community, was the idea of accountability and the idea of being able to point directly to someone in our community as being the point person for development or lack of development or mismanagement of funds or things of that nature. How would that operate under charter as far as you guys are?
Well, I did want to, hello everybody, and thank you all for coming out this evening to listen to us and share and provide feedback. That's really important. Again, a little bit about myself. I am an HOA president at Fieldside Neighborhood. I've been in that position for 4 years and really working hard to advocate for our community. As I walked in this evening, I heard a lot of very similar things with parking, with quality of life issues. Being out in the community, I've heard a lot of things where even people in my own community have issues with the permitting process, opening small businesses in our county. And that led me to be really passionate about change in our community. Thus, I submitted my name to be a part of this process. And I encourage each and every one of you to be a part of the process. And one of the ways you can be a part of the process is giving us feedback, listening to us, engaging in the meetings. So, Commissioner Paterson, to speak directly to the accountability piece, our community has been experienced a lot of issues with a developer. I won't name that developer's name. No, that's not it. Please. However, in that fight, as I advocate for my community, one of the things I've encountered is so much red tape, so much difficulty getting to the right people in county government and local government. What this charter will do is offer a one-stop shop. For every organization in the U.S., we have a CEO, one person leading the charge. In our county right now, under the home code rule, we have five different department heads, if you will, all bidding for that top name. I'm the CEO, I'm the CEO, I'm the CEO. It's not effective. We need one, in my opinion. That's why I am part of this process. So again, I encourage you all, again, accountability is key, and I find that charter is the pathway to that accountability.
Can I add to that? I think what you're describing, so people often say, what's the difference between code home rule and commission form of government? Didn't we just get something in code home rule in 2002 that, now Charles County has all of what it needs, has autonomy from the Annapolis, it has its own local laws. Well, code home rule and commissioner form is still operated by a board of 5. Right. So you're taking the chance that you get the right people that are willing to work together. We've seen, and I'm going to say some things that might make some people uncomfortable. We've seen a lot lately, not just this board, but previous boards, that it takes, magic in a bottle and get 5 commissioners that are willing to work together for the betterment of the county. Right? And then what happens during the election? They point at each other and say, that's the reason that our programs aren't running effectively and our residents aren't being served. So again, a charter is going to define responsibilities. So when you get to the ballot box, you can hold that person accountable. You can deliver on what you said you would deliver on and running day-to-day government. Council, you didn't pass legislation that we thought was implemented in Charles County. Voters will finally know who's responsible. That's why I'm in for the because I think what happens is when you have 5, there's too many folks in the kitchen. Yes. Mucking up daily, my offense to be mucking up daily government operations in a political view. And then the byproduct of that is there's a lot of businesses, there's a lot of HOAs and residents that feel like their commissions can't be responsible. Instead, county staff runs the government. no accountability to the manager. So we try to change that.
Okay.
We want to put a structure of accountability in place where residents, like their commissioner, their executive and their council can actually serve them. But right now, the perception is that the commissioners don't have a lot of authority over county government.
I have a question. I
Go
got to
ahead.
say something.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't feel comfortable with what.
We want to make sure you get a microphone. Everybody can hear you. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
We'll make sure we get you.
Hi. I live in Waldorf on the other side
Yes, ma'am.
and came for this specific meeting. And what I find is we have all these layers. We got the federal government, we got the state government, we got the county government, we had the commissioners. Now you're talking about a charter, whatever that is. Now that the commissioners get a salary, we pay them, you can't get in touch with them. Berry Road and Western Parkway has been a bad intersection for 20 years. It's still a bad intersection. Who's responsible for making sure the infrastructure is being taken care of? We got grass growing all over the highway. Nobody cuts the grass. We got who in the world makes a decision for these businesses to come in here and don't take care of the surroundings where they are? All of us live in an HOA. Why we don't have more control over the HOA? They take our money. They see things going bad, because see, they don't have to live there anymore. We have a lot of absentee owners that don't take care of properties. Where is the commissioner? But they get a salary. They so bold now, they don't even have to talk to you. They get paid whether they speak to us or not. And that's their part-time job. I don't have a part-time job, thankfully. I'm all right. But I don't like the way things are going now. And I can't sit here and listen to you say what you're saying because I see what I see.
Ma'am, I appreciate the frustration. What we're saying is to replace exactly what you were upset about.
Yeah.
Not adding another layer. In my mind, we're simple.
Well, what's gonna happen to the commissioners? We're gonna have you as the charter government and then the commissioners too.
The commissioners will no longer be
Right.
effective.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm sorry, I love you guys.
The commissioners will be replaced by county council. They will not run day-to-day government. They will legislate, they will fund programs, and if programs aren't working well in your district, presumably you will want to keep district-based councilmen, then there can be oversight. But the executive will run government. You will know exactly who's not taking care of the grass over road that you're talking about in these meetings.
Exactly, and I'll just follow up with that. You're absolutely right, man. The reason why, all of the things you just stated for why we are looking into improving this commissioner form can be improved, I'll say that. I'm not gonna say broken, I actually say it can be improved. Everything you said is absolutely correct. You voted for commissioners, right? You voted for, in the last election, you voted for 5 of us, correct? We don't run day-to-day operations. We don't run the plants. Somebody else does. And that person was not voted in by the members of our community. I'll just leave it at that.
And I can add to that, also as a HA president myself, I hear your pain. One of the things I've encountered even in trying to get through county government is there's just so, to your point, there's so many layers. You don't know, you got one person saying, no, you contact this department. You go to that department, they're like, go contact that department. You go contact that department, they're like, oh, you're supposed to put a ticket in the website. I'm like, well, why didn't you tell me that in the first place? And this is the frustration, not only in my HOA board member, I'm a homeowner. I have children in the school system, and everywhere I look at, there's no accountability.
Well,
So
you know,
that-
the issue I have is the commissioners get a salary, but yet the teachers don't have supplies to teach our kids. So what is that? How can you pay the commissioners a salary, but you can't give the teachers the money they need to buy supplies for their school, for their classroom?
And I understand exactly what you're asking. What I'm hearing is that you're saying teachers are getting a salary, the commissioners
I mean,
are getting a
it's just a
salary,
whole lot of
commissioners are
things,
getting a
just
salary.
like he's sitting there saying, all this, well, he met with the people in Cecil County and whatever. To me, that's not my concern. My concern is this county I live in and the things that I see that are not being done in my county. And I've seen Ms. Patterson at numerous meetings saying what she says and all the rest of the commissioners, and nothing seems to change for me. I'm speaking for me.
I like that part. Pam, you're absolutely right. The reason why we bring up other counties is because we like to show, the kids nowadays, you can't just tell them something works, you gotta show them something works. And so when we're showing examples of counties that are our size, our demographics, the same amount of money that we made, generating revenue, who have changed, who now are better off for it. And that's what we're trying to highlight here. And not saying we're forcing down anybody's throat. But we're just trying to say, you know, we don't have to exist like this. This is not a fait accompli. You know, and we can do that. We should do that. There's a way to do that, and this is one of the ways that I at least want the community to entertain. So absolutely right. All those things and more, absolutely right. If things were going great and it was just, you know, sunshine and rainbows all the time, we wouldn't even be talking about this. But you guys read the news. You guys know what time it is. You see on Charles County Government TV, it doesn't look pretty. It doesn't look like government's working. And it's because it's not really. And so the reason is multifaceted, but for the most part, we can do it better. And we're going to do it better. That's plain and simple. We're just going to do it better. And if we have to say some people along for kicking the stream, that's okay. You know, they'll be better for it once we get to that finish line. But I'd much rather trust you guys with decisions that are going up in the community rather than three commissioners. Yes, sir. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Two quick points. One, I moved from Harford County to Charles County back in 2004. So Charles County is a lot smaller than Harford County. Harford County runs a lot more efficiently with their form of government. To this lady's point, and Commissioner Paterson, you can confirm this, you are District 4's commissioner. How are you elected? How are you elected? How's that process? Are you elected by only the citizens of District 4 or by the county?
In the past, it was by the county as a whole because I'm in charge of the county. Now it's district only. So now District 2, 3, and 1, they have no say. But you know what? I say with them. Do you think that's fair representation? I don't think so.
To this lady's point, one of the reasons why I would say I'm an advocate of the form of government is because in Harford County, if I had permitting issues, we knew that the county executive had to be the person that you talked to because he or she ran the administration of the county from the executive level.
Right.
If there were issues with how my HOA laws work, I knew that my county council person was the person I would go to who was elected by only, I was District 2 there, only by the people in District 2. So she at that time, now it's a he, she would answer the phone because only the people in District 2 are going to vote for her, right? So those are the kinds of things when you think through what we're talking about here and why this is a more sophisticated form of government. To your point, the county's growing and has grown, and it's probably outgrown a more antiquated form of government that exists now that convolutes the things that happen. So there are 5 cooks in the kitchen. If anybody's like my wife, you only want to be the only cook in the kitchen, right? So you know how your meal is going to taste. Right. That all being said, the way that things are set up here governmentally, your person, there's this, the layers and complexity of how our government is structured call for us to re-examine why we need to have the government we have or change the form that we have. So I'm going to stop there because
If it's okay, ma'am, I think you raised a question that we want to know from you. Should our council be part-time or should it be full-time? Right, so those, again, we want to know from the public, do you think these should be full-time representatives of you? That are working, you know, working long hours. But that's the type of question that you raised that really is.
Like I said, there are no bad ideas, and we want to hear all of them because you know what? Maybe it just needs a little tweak, maybe it just needs to be massaged a little bit, but we need to hear all those ideas, and this is why we're having this conversation. And this is going to be a regular occurrence, just so you guys know. Every month, Paterson at least is going to be having one of these, just a listening session, because I need to hear from you, and so that way we have that open dialogue, and that way we're not talking half. So thank you very much. I think there was a question.
Yeah, I just have 2 basic questions.
Yes, sir.
What's the cost difference to taxpayers on a change of government how will a county executive be elected and be a popular vote?
Well, the tax ramification part is negligible. That's up to you. It depends on, do we want a police department? Do we want to incorporate all these different things? We can start off small and say, you know what, we'll tackle those things piecemeal as we move forward. So, a big misinformation bullet is that Charter's going to bankrupt the county. Absolutely false. That's not true. Because that's just a scare tactic. If we can move at the pace that we need to move, if it's too expensive, then guess what? It's like anybody else, we can't afford it. We'll move it, we'll move to that when we can. But it's not going to be something where we just launch into, Charles County Police Department, Charles County Fire Department, everything gets paid through taxes. No, we're not Montgomery County Council. We're not Prince George County. We're not being 4 million people. We're 170,000 people, give or take. So we have to move a little bit more modestly because that's what our populace is. It doesn't make sense to try to bankrupt and look fancy and then have everything, all the department taxes go through the roof. Because I'm sure my colleague will tell you, we fight damn hard to keep those taxes low. And so the last thing we want to do is throw a whole bunch of taxes in this and have it explode in our face. So we're trying to make sure we keep it up. Very much.
The executive will be at large, my entire if I can add to that point, one of the reasons we're having these meetings to hear from folks, and we have fire and EMS, is we want to understand what their cost drivers are, what they need. And we're going to hear from the Charles County Sheriff's Office on September 14th. And again, another cost driver potentially, we want to know from the Sheriff's Office what their needs are. So once we go through all that, we'll be able to do a fiscal analysis. Some of it you're going to have to decide and tell us. Should the executive share the county attorney with the council, or should there be 2 separate attorney's offices? That's a big cost difference. Frederick County shares the county attorney to save funds, right? So we heard that from Jan Gardner when she met with us last week. So there's ways for us to save funds, and we're going to do a fiscal analysis and provide that to the public.
Those were actually the 2 questions that I was going to ask, but I'll make a comment since I have the mic. One of the things, we moved here in 2019 from Indianapolis, and upon moving here, we saw one of the most dysfunctional forms of government we've ever encountered. Difficulty with red tape, finding accountability, who do we complain to, all of those sorts of things. So I understand the frustration because we share that. However, coming from Indianapolis also, our government was very much the same. It went through a process where Indianapolis expanded at a rate that it encompassed the entire county, and we came up with a new form of government called UNIGOV, which was similar as far as a charter style that moved to a county executive and all that sort of stuff. Indianapolis' mayor became the executive over all of the county as a result of that. The reason I'm bringing it up is there are other areas across the country that are going through or have gone through similar process. It's not something to be afraid of. It's something that we need to be engaged in and aware of so that it's in our best interest and we can then determine our own future versus allowing that either status quo to just remain the same and we'll continue to complain and talk about it for years to come and generations, or we can actually have a say in what happens to our now and our future for our children and set them up as an advantage. Whether or not charter of government is the solution or not, we don't know the answer necessarily. That's going to come out with the information that comes back to us and we make that decision as a voting base. But I can't stress enough how important these sorts of meetings are. And I'm not paid to be here. I'm not on anybody's staff. But the process is good so that people's concerns are heard, voices and opinions are out there. I'll just say, I told Eileen this because I'm a part of the field side HOA. And I told her upon meeting her when we moved into the county, I said, why don't we have this already here? The town that we moved from was 101,000 people in the outside suburb of Indianapolis, and we voted to have this form of government, and it was immensely popular, and we actually became a model across the country. And I want to see that happen here. I don't want to see people continue to move out and complain about Charles County, the high taxes, the lack of accountability, the school system, and everybody, for God's sake, stop shopping in PG County and let's get a damn Wegmans here. That'll happen when we have a strong leader that can be a one-stop shop that goes out with the best interest of the county to attract businesses, to attract those that are going to bolster our tax base so that we don't have high taxes as just residents supporting an entire county. Waldorf should not be supporting like the welfare system, the rest of Charles County. We should be in charge of our own municipality. So anyway, I've said enough. That's
So what was the name of that? Did you say Unica?
Unica under Bill Hudnut, 1970.
Thank you.
So this is a great segue to what you just said. So I saw in 2014, you applied for the charter. Can you let us know why it failed last time and what challenges, what changes would be made and what challenges you need to overcome to become a charter?
Well, I was going to say, for a historical perspective, you were all before the charter, correct?
No, there's so many.
Yeah, I was here probably. You weren't correct. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Yes.
Ma'am, we spent 2 years. We spent 2 years. It was the most politically, ethnically, philosophically diverse group of Charles County citizens I've ever seen. Writing government. You can actually go back on CCTV government. You can actually watch all the videos, right? We spent 2 years deliberating this. And by every measure of every person who was on that charter board, we should have moved to a charter form of government that we presented to the county. It fell victim to politics, quite frankly. There were a lot of scare tactics going on about what this would mean. To your question about cost, every cost estimate was materially the same. It might have been, in the grand scheme of government, $1 million one way or the other, not a lot. It was like $1 million delta between the two. The other pieces are, and I can say this because I am not a politician nor am I on anybody's payroll. Even then, there were forces in this county who saw the demographic shifts in the county. And there's an old expression that goes, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And the form of government that exists today allows complacency to maintain its hold.
Yes.
The form of government that was proposed would have, we even went as far as to have representation revisited with the census, so that every time you had a census taken, the government or the representation would be more reflective of the population. All of that was in the original document. All of that. So that document did not pass because of EMS, the issue that was raised there, that you're going to get rid of the volunteer fire department, that you're going to bring in all these other departments and have you. The reality of the situation is, the form of government we have now can increase the size of government without any recourse other than being voted out. So you don't need a charter to do that. That can actually be done now. So we spent, again, 2 years on this issue, and while I was on this board as well, but 2 years on this issue. And I can tell you that I can't give you a legitimate, valid reason why that passed, other than there was a lot of demagoguery going on at the time that caused the issue to die in the ballot.
And to follow up on that, I believe back in 2014, it was close. It was 57% against 42% and some change for. It was a midterm election. Turnout is typically a little lower than a midterm election. But I appreciate this comment.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
Even though these are good ideas, right? But we know elections are uncommon. Why is it that only time we see somebody to have all these elections is election time? What is about shortly here when we need all these advice stuff the same way and people need to, we all actually support the election time, but what happened shortly here? And the reason why we go out of town, if you want a 5-star restaurant, it's not over here. All we have is houses. We can't buy, nobody want to go to Apple here today. We want to
All right, so thank you for the question, sir. I think I'm on month 8, and so I am planning on being very visible and very attainable. And so this is just the beginning of May, and I live right in Hampshire, right across the street. Yes, oh, absolutely. Trust me, I come to as many blue crabs as I do. I can stop by here once or twice, so that's not a problem. And then, of course, I play golf right behind, I think, over there. So, yeah, I stay around here very often, so no problem.
And I want to just add to that, Commissioner, that this is the first commissioner that I've actually had an interaction with personally. The previous commissioner, despite my calls, despite my emails, despite my, begging, hey, I need you to come into our community, he didn't come until he was forced to come. Commissioner Paterson comes, I'm like, hey, can you stop by? And he comes. I send an email, he responds, his staff responds. This is the first commissioner I'm very proud to be. I feel he's a partner. He's more than just our commissioner. He's a partner.
Step in the right direction.
Thank you for the question.
Hello, everyone. My name is Joseph Mann. I just want to go ahead and first state that we just went through an election. The next election coming up will be mine, to be the school board election. Just want to plug myself in. Sorry, that's it. I'm actually leaning more towards the favor of charter. And I'm going to go to Mr. Warren, what he said at the beginning of his comments, is our government's kind of compacted. It'd be kind of nice if we could split in two. That way there is more accountability. This young lady back here was mentioning that you don't know who's doing what, who's accountable for what, and the grass here, and the dogs over there that are stray, and everything else, and the school board over there. And with charter, I'm starting to see that we can put together a form of government. And I know it's still in the infancy stages right now. You guys are still taking input from the community, and you still have your meetings and everything else. I think it may make our government and our county better. And the reason why is that right now, we have 5 people where people think, most of the community thinks that they run everything. We don't. We have multiple boards, committees, everything. And the community really doesn't know who does what, who to go to when there's a problem. So I really think, and I'm going to embrace the charter process. I'm going to ask more people to come out to like these meetings here and ask these questions. Give the board feedback. I'm really excited to see what they come up with. I've lived here 41 years of my life. I'm 41 years old. I want to see this county be the best it can be. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not moving away. I want us to be the best county we possibly could be for everyone. Thank you. My name is Joseph.
I know that the next meeting, Ray, who is the special guest? Because that special guest I'm particularly interested in.
Charles County Sheriff's Office, it
Yes.
should be Sheriff Barry.
Sheriff Barry's
Okay. When is
September
that?
14th.
September 14th. So I don't know if anyone else experienced
6 o'clock.
6 p.m. I don't know if anyone else experienced.
Where is
200 Baltimore Street, accountability. Yeah, where you pay taxes. Yes, ma'am.
What's the room number?
Is there a room number?
The blue room, there's the building.
It's not telling me that.
So Sheriff Barry's coming out. How many of you are experiencing quality of life issues in the community? By show of hands. No. Anyone experiencing theft in the neighborhoods? Joint behavior with teens? Vandalism? I know Fieldside has been experiencing it, and I've been hearing cries from other communities in District 4. So if you all are experiencing any of this, I implore you to please come and speak to us. Come and speak to us and tell us what you want to see. How do you want that to change? Because right now, the county government has no oversight on our policing at all. And I don't know if you all know that.
No, they don't.
I
No.
want to bring that up. Our role.
And we don't control their
Police
budget.
department, the sheriff's department is simply funding. Simply to fund them, make sure they have the active fund
I know.
for employment, for equipment, those type of things. But we have zero oversight on the sheriff. There is a sheriff, he's elected by the people, he is in charge of public safety. So, Commissioner, we have a working relationship with that, we fund the sheriff department, to make sure that they have the adequate funding. We try to meet their adequate funding requests as best we can, but the job of public safety is solely proprietary to the sheriff. Make sure everybody's clear.
Policing is a difficult topic with charter. Every charter county since 1972 retained full police powers in its elected sheriff. Every single one. And it might be a number of different reasons that they've done that. But one of the things that I think happens is there's a misconception that if you decide to consider a police chief that's under the executive, appointed by an executive, that the sheriff goes away. The sheriff does not go away, it's a state office. So you would have a layered approach to policing. You would have a police chief, if we were to consider it, if you wanted it. You would have a police chief under the executive, and you would still have your elected sheriff, but they would be responsible for issuing warrants and court security. All right. So it's a layered approach, and you see that in some other counties. But I just wanted to be clear that it's a very hot topic, and we're looking forward to your input in that sheriff's meeting on the 14th.
Yes, ma'am. Thomas.
Hi, everybody. I am Ms. Nani Thomas. I am the property manager of Shops at Walmart Center, which is the largest shopping center in the county. And I am supporting charter because we do need that from my perspective. When my tenants come and they want to sign leases for Wegmans or any of these stores that you guys want to see come to the county, they always get stopped at PGM. That is my main issue.
They always get stopped at what?
PGM.
Yes.
So about 80 to 90% of tenants that come into my shopping center get held up in PGM.
What is BGM?
Planning and growth management. So every business that opens in the county needs to get a permit.
Oh, okay.
PGM gives out the permit.
So they decide
I
whether.
have about 80 or 90% of my tenants gets held up in PGM, and they either decide to leave or they just spend countless dollars on trying to make edits after edits after edits.
What are they doing? Are they being bought and sold or something?
I'm sorry.
Are they being bought and sold?
Right.
Is there something, is there another element in there that's making the decision as to who
They
gets
don't have
what?
the answer to anybody.
Oh, they don't?
They don't. So even our commissioners, I mean, I've gone to all of them and they help as much as possible, but because PGM does not have to answer to anybody, they can get away with doing what they want. So it's been a problem for me to be able to lease spaces because now industry-wide, people know that Charles County Permit Office is going to board up their permits. So they go to PG County. So when I'm getting phone calls asking why we don't have Wegmans or why we don't have this and that, people know how to come to the county because they're going to get held up in the permit department. So when we have a charter form of government, I'll have somebody specific that I can go to that will be overseeing the process in that department.
And hopefully
I
they get
would
quick.
just like to add to this, Thomas. PTM does answer to the county administrator. That's who the director, that was answer directly to the county administrator.
So why are the commissioners getting a salary then? What do they do?
All right, so to answer your question, yes, so you can do something, you legislate, you make sure that the overall county is run effectively, we make sure that we meet with the community, well, we're supposed to meet with the community, we're supposed to take community input, and we're supposed to implement that as far as legislation, working sort of funding, those types of things. If you would like to watch the county government meetings, that's where a lot of the sausage is made. It's boring as hell, I'll tell you that.
Yes.
But that's where it's made, and that's where you can
They
find
don't answer any questions.
Yes, oh my gosh, yeah, the public.
No, they don't. No, they
I'm
don't.
sorry.
They don't answer any questions.
If you ask a question, we answer it. Or you ask us
They're very evasive,
Well,
answering questions. Patterson, you know, I've been there.
here's what I
I've
would
seen
say.
them in action.
Here's what I would say. If you come to county government, I promise to answer every question you ask me directly.
Ask you.
Ask me.
I can't even get
answer me.
my commissioner won't even have a meeting. We had an election when, 8 months ago? We haven't even seen her,
but
but she's getting a
I
salary.
understand, man. I can't disparage I'm not gonna disparage my colleague. She is responsible for her actions, I'm responsible for my actions. So I feel your pain, I understand what you're saying, but I'm not going to disparage my colleague. She's responsible for her, she needs to be held accountable for that about that. If that's how you feel, all of us need to be held accountable for that. Share what you feel with other people, but I'm not gonna disparage my colleague. I can't.
So we have two people with their hands raised, I'm gonna go to them, but before I get to them, Greg, can you talk about the conversation? Now, we did meet with another former county executive, which was Dan Berger last week, which really she made such a wonderful case about being in a position as a county executive and what she was able to do and the amount of money she was able to bring to her county because of her position, because of the bargaining power, because there was one person actually doing the negotiation versus diluting the power with five commissioners. But I'm wondering if you can expand upon.
Yeah, no, I think both former executive Gardner and current executive from Harvard both said that when you have the CEO, that other businesses, other economic development opportunities, they know who they're negotiating with. They're not going back and forth between a board of five who may not even all be on board for the project to begin with, and then deciding to go to another county instead. You have that single point of contact, a unified voice in the county, you're gonna increase your batting average at getting these opportunities come all the way to Charles County. And, I think commissioner forms of government can be successful, but we're talking about putting in place a structure that will increase our batting average, that will give our leaders a better chance for success. And then if they don't, you all know who's responsible when you go back and vote for re-electing that county executive or putting somebody else in place.
I have a question. For you. I'm a veteran. Why isn't there a veteran center here? Why do we have to go all the way down to St. Mary's County?
So when you say veteran center, what do you mean by that? Like the museum is in Newburgh. Are you talking about like a VA hospital?
I'm talking about like a VA hospital. Like we have to either go all the way to Washington DC, or we have to go all the way down to St. Mary's. And I don't think that that's.
You have to talk to the federal government, they decide what place goes. I'm gonna be honest.
So some of that is at a higher level than us. Like we don't need to stand for a new hospital because we just have more people. Everybody always said, we need a hospital, we need a hospital. We just don't need to stand or meet the numerical threshold for a hospital just yet. So some of the things are out of our control as far as numerically what we can accommodate as far as what's needed and where we can fund. And so I believe we should take care of our veterans. I don't want to say anything outside of our closed session meetings, so I'll let you clarify.
So if I fall out.
We love our veterans and.
So if I fall out or my comrades fall out here.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me there's nobody here that can help us? Because I know for a fact there's about 60 or 70 vets that will not go to that hospital down in the plate.
Right.
They would rather die than go down there. So my
I don't want to say too much, but there will be something that the nursing company will fix that problem.
Okay.
I just don't want to say too much. That's it. But yes, there will be something tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
So I am also the Charles County Women's Democratic Club PAC president, but I'm also the founder of Charles County Moms of Color. And I just would like to repeat what Natasha said earlier. I personally, on behalf of our Charles County Moms of Color, contacted all those stores, and they pretty much gave me the same answer that they did not want to do business in Charles County. Basically, it's hard to do business. I live in Atlanta. If you didn't know this, we got all these. They said all these was coming one day, and I got an email the next day, a letter in the mail that said, hey, we're having a great opening, go $5 off. It was like 2 months. We just got a new car wash. I got to get another one. But literally, my husband was like, wasn't there a motel there yesterday? Yes. So the motel long would you do the math? Like, how long did the 10301? How long had Crossing Care? How long have they been working on that car wash? So if you just think about it, La Plata is a municipality. We kind of have our own permitting project. I asked for a garbage can and a recycle bin. I had a recycle bin the next day. I had sent them an email after business hours. But I'm just saying how much quicker things happen when the government is working in your favor. And we want those things. Everybody, you know, I did a poll, like with the members. We have 2,800 members in the group. Remember that poll? And I think like 70% of the people, the women in the group said they leave the county to go grocery shopping. So how much money is leaving the county to go grocery shopping? People want to shop at Wegmans and Harris Teeter. I don't think that live in Hughesville. It's quicker to get to Harris Teeter from Hughesville than to go down here because that's where they want to grocery shop.
I go to Clinton for shopping school warehouse.
So yeah.
Just shopping school warehouse, I go to Clinton.
So just
Yeah, I heard PGM mentioned, in business mentioned. You know, one of the things that we can decide in a charter with perhaps the business community's feedback is should we name and define our departments, their roles and their responsibilities explicitly in the charter. And based on the frustration I'm hearing about planning and growth management, maybe there's an argument that permitting should be separated from some of the other things they do, such as the stormwater management functions of PGM. And maybe that department is too large and too powerful, and I don't want to put the commission on the spot. But that's the type of feedback we want from you all. And I think the business community can really help us with something like that.
So, we'd love to hear ideas. Love ideas.
Good evening. Thank you for this conversation. My name is Janae Gaines Adams. I am actually on my HOA, Eagle Ridge Estates. My question is, after the vote, how long, what's the time frame for implementation? Clearly, we're having challenges right now, and we're losing tax dollars right now. But how long will it take to implement such that we can see some type of improvement in our community before we have individuals that continue to leave the county because of lack of services?
Sure. Well, and I'll let you jump in if you want. We have to define what the transition looks like. So when we vote on charter, we're not going to also be voting for county executive and council in that same election. So we have to define, are we going to wait to the next cycle to allow for a transition so that that executive can work on day one, or if there's some special election, we'll have to talk with council and figure out what's possible. But it's not going to be on November of 2024. If you say yes to charter, we're going to have some type of orderly transition.
Exactly, so we're talking years or we're talking months?
I think,
You're absolutely right. That is dependent on people. And so I think the minimum, it has to be at least 30 days. So it can't be like the next day.
Understood.
So yeah, there's going to be a transition period, but that transition period can either be short or long. Depends on, I don't want to presume if we complete redistrict or if we can keep the same districts. Do we have five council members? Do we go to 9? Do we go to 11? You know, all those sorts of things. If we keep it simple, then it shouldn't be that long of a transition. But if the people want more elaborate government, that probably will take a little bit of transition. But in 2024 November, we're going to vote yes or no on the charter. 2026 is probably the earliest of the next election we're going to have. Yes, as far as then you'll have the county executive and 5 people.
yeah, and the commissioner's point is valid. If we change the number of council people in the districts, that's going to take more time. If we decide to keep the 4 districts we have now and at large council person, that transition should be a little smoother. But that's something for you all to give us feedback on.
Absolutely.
So we will be voting on amongst the people this year.
24.
Next
It
year.
will be at the bottom, so you have the presidential, like,
In 18
Biden
months.
and whoever, and then you have everybody else, and then at the bottom, just like everything else, it'll be
Yeah.
question 1, question 2, question 3,
Okay.
and question whatever one week. You will fill the full charter that will provide.
And not only that, if the government's not working for you, voters can change the charter. They can amend it, they can improve it. And that's why it's called that, that's why it's a constitution for the county. The voters decide what their government looks like, and periodically you can change the charter.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Charity Barrett. I'm the founder of Charity's Hope Family Farm in District 1, La Plata. Not part of the town of La Plata, but regular La Plata is what I call it. I'm here actually because I actually couldn't really get the support from my commissioner in District 1, and it made me curious about charter and how it could potentially help someone in a position like myself as a business owner trying to bring innovation to the county, tourism to the county, and building a business plan to align almost perfectly with the Charles County Comprehensive Plan, the Charles County zoning ordinance, and new agritourism legislation. My concern is with planning and growth management, that basically they're like the gatekeepers. And it affects homeowners, business owners, and they get to decide who they want to assist with getting open quickly versus not open at all. And it gets so bad that they pull regulations that really don't exist out of thin air, and there is nobody checking them. And I remember when I first, reached out to all of the commissioners, I thought it was going to be like an easy kind of situation to fix. And that's when I found out how powerless the commissioners are on certain levels, where they can't really do anything about it. And even if they try to, by asserting the little authority they do have, or even just by trying to push and give that nudge, they can end up being the victim of a witch hunt, or being accused of being a bully, or being racist. When we talk about the kind of issues that exist in Charles County, nobody has mentioned race yet, but I will. I'm a black woman that came into this county and bought a property in District 1, and I feel like I am they're trying to run me out of the county. And this is like the wealthiest county for African Americans, but a mockery is being made of people such as myself and my family and other business owners. And I'm ready to change. I'm ready to change, because by the time charter comes, even if it can help someone like myself, it probably won't help me in this case, because the way things are being done is designed to almost bankrupt a business owner. It's trying to actually bring a positive, family-friendly, community-oriented project that has zero development requirements, where they're actually trying to impose things that don't make any sense in a major stream valley, such as creating more impervious surface, which leads to stormwater management issues, which a lot of the HOA have issues with, because developers are able to come in and do things and not be held to the standard they should. But somebody like myself, who in a sense you can call me a developer, but I'm really just a small business owner trying to come and do something great, and it's like they don't want it. They're petitioning against it. And I can't even get my own commissioner to be honest and upfront about his thoughts on my project. I can't get any support. So I would like to know how charter government could help a situation like that, if at all.
Put it on Facebook.
Oh, I've done that. I'm one of the loudest. Yeah, I'm actually, the commissioners are about sick of me right now, because, they have earned their salary. They've earned their salary. On Twitter? Okay, maybe that's what I'm doing wrong. Twitter, TikTok, okay. Yeah, so it's been very public, and nothing is getting done. I've been told to be quiet. I've been told to be poised. I've been told to be loud. I've been told none of it's getting the job done. It's to the point now where I'm like, listen, I'm not going down without a fight.
I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad that I'm here so that we can pay attention to college. Because some of the ideas that I saw you use Shark Tank event the other day, some of those, the kids are wonderful, obviously. But the vision that you have for helping special needs kids with your farm and being a beacon for hope for children, that's something that is very, very commendable. So,
thank you.
I can only say how you got this. It's hard.
And you've proven that. And so that's Commissioner Coates.
Thank you very much. Mayor, any other? Any other questions? Any other? Yes, ma'am. I want to make sure you get the mic first.
mention this to their constituents? For the charter?
No, not everyone.
No, the charter board, the charter process can happen two ways. One, by voter referendum, voters can decide they want to move forward with a charter process. Or two, the Maryland State Constitution allows for the Board of Commissioners to appoint a charter board. The Charles County Board of Commissioners used option 2, and there was a 3-2 vote where 3 commissioners were in support of forming a charter board, 2 were not. So I think I need to say who the 2 are, but 2 commissioners voted against.
So we need to go in and educate all of the constituents.
Yes.
So we need to
Yes.
get the word out.
I agree that education is the best form of education.
And vote.
Oh, God. Registration, voter registration and education.
And it was asked earlier why the 2014 effort wasn't successful, and some of the post-mortem on that was that county government proponents of charter didn't do a good job educating the public on what a charter was. We'll do a better job this year.
We did, quite frankly, and I just wanted to circle back to something you said earlier, because I think it's worth this room knowing and thinking about it as you think through how you feel about charter. For context, there's a reason, I think, why Greg mentioned who they talked to outside of Charles County. When you look at Cecil County, which is north of Harford County, who has 70,000 people less than Charles County, they went to charter government. And it's important we look at Cecil, Harford, Frederick, the myriad of counties who are similar in size or progression to where we are or where we want to be. Regardless of what their political persuasions are, what they realized was that if they were going to move their county forward, they had to have a form of government that was concomitant with them moving forward. And so, in line with, I'm sorry, I'm using my Jeopardy word, in line with the county moving forward. So when you guys think about this, whatever your political dying role is, conservative, liberal, progressive, whatever, if we are thinking about how we best, to that young man's point from Indianapolis over there, if we are thinking about how we best position this county to move forward, we have to think about, is the form of government that we currently have best positioned to do that? What we determined 10 years ago was that it wasn't. Let us not wait another 10 years before we decide the right path for what this county needs to be all that it can be. Not to take the military into it, but the old Army slogan, to be all that it can be, and waste the opportunity. Because if we miss it this time, my fear is that apathy will allow it to not happen again. So I want us to all, this is probably one of the most consequential things that this county will have to deal with. Not just this election cycle, but when you think about, I think somebody said about their kids and grandkids, when you think about generations to come and what this decision means in 2024, for what they will experience, and what their lifestyle and way of being will be in Charles County. And 10 years ago, this wasn't anything that you took lightly. People gave hundreds of man hours to discussing this and figuring out what best move this county forward. And again, Greg, to your point, the reason that all these other counties, in terms of why they're being brought in and why those perspectives matter, is because they've gone through this same process. They've determined, regardless of politics, if you're going to move your county forward, you have to, most of us probably know something about a SPOA, a single point of accountability. You have to have a single point of accountability in your legislative branch of government, which would be your elected officials that are at the commissioner level, or the councilman level, or councilwoman level, and then you have to have at the executive branch of government a single point of accountability, which becomes the county executive. Right now, it's who's on first, right? and then there's the old Spider-Man thing, where the Spider-Man's all pointing to each other. That's exactly what happens when stuff hits the fan, because there's no single point of accountability. You can always hide behind, well, it wasn't just me, there were 4 other blah, blah, blah. Well, when it's only you accountable to District 3, right? When it's only you that answers to the voters, I would imagine that behaviors would be a lot different than what you see today.
Yeah.
So where's the information that you guys used in 2014?
It's on Charles County's website.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
It's all archived. I mean, if you have plenty of viewing time, it's like hours and hours of meetings. And all of it was filmed and archived and what have you. There's a document online that you can Google as well. A charter was written. Like this is, for me, it feels like, it's like, Groundhog Day.
That charter that was written, was that written from something that already existed here in Charles County or Maryland or whatever?
No, ma'am. It was, we started tabula rasa, blank slate.
Okay.
And we took all the information that, just like these guys are doing, they're starting with a blank slate as well, but they have perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they take all of that information, they synthesize that, and they think about what's best for this county, and then they bring it to you, and hear from you, like, what do you think is best? And we did the same thing. We had hearings around the county, what have you. The thing that we did not do, that Greg spoke to, was that we did not advocate as strongly as for educating, not advocating for a position, but for educating as to what that would mean to the council.
Well, that's what I would like to suggest. When you guys run up against a brick wall, we're here. We got your back. But if you don't utilize that and you fail, then we looking at you, well, what happened? Why you didn't do blah, 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 blah.
Yes,
See what I'm saying? Because I want this to be Tyson's Corner. I don't want to have to go down to Tyson's Corner, okay? I don't want to, the last time we had a meeting and people were talking about they wanted upscale stores here in our mall, and we were told, we don't make enough money to carry those type of stores. Macy's still here. J.C. Penney's still rolling. All this money in this, look at all this money in this room. And we go elsewhere to shop.
I want to add
Makes
to
no
that.
sense.
Anyone who's in this room right now, if you're affiliated with any groups, business groups, sororities, fraternities, any groups in the county, HOAs, any groups, and you want this charter to come out and do this very thing, we want to come out too.
Yes, please.
So please get in touch with Commissioner Paterson's office, get his information. I don't care if he's not your commissioner for your district, get the word to him, please, and we'll come out.
Because this is an additional other thing. Charter's not just going to benefit district, it's going to benefit all county. So I'm more than willing to meet people, whether I have, crashing meetings, just like I did tonight, and make sure that, we make it productive, move forward with our county.
So with that, if I have, or we have recommendations, questions, or suggestions, is there an online port, or email? Can you share that with us so we can, put those to you, right?
Yeah, in fact, you can go to the Charles County Charter Board website under boards and commissions, and there's an e-comment feature where you can submit your comments, and all the board members, we have 2 others here today, we will get those comments. But again, I encourage you, your presence is needed and wanted in our meetings. Again, September 14th, we'll focus on policing, and then beginning in November, we'll do our public hearings.
If I met anybody in this room, I think wants what's in best interest for Charles County. I know we can all agree on that. Just a simple observation I think I'd like to make on behalf of whether if charter were to pass and charter were to go in, you do realize that Commissioner Paterson and Commissioner Coates would be out of the job, right? They'd have to run for county council, county executive.
May I make a statement?
Sure.
My name is Mary Stokely, and I have lived in Charles County since 1974, in the same house, by the way. And I'm a realtor, so with that being said, my yard actually borders 301. So I've seen this county change so dramatically in the last 49 years that I've lived in my house. And one of the reasons why I've made this commitment to be involved in helping prepare a charter and then presenting it, and if need be, selling it, that's what I did for a living, I'm a realtor, is because even if I move or when I'm not here anymore, my children and my grandchildren will still be here. And nobody is trying to change, nobody is trying to take away the legacy and the history of Southern Maryland and specifically in Charles County. We all respect it. We've got signers of the Constitution. We've got historical figures that were born and raised, or at least born and lived in Charles County. Your schools are named after them. Nobody has seen Benjamin Stoddard yet. You need to do a drive-by. It is spectacular. It is fabulous. With all that being said, the pushback, it feels like the pushback for many people is change. Change is hard for everyone. And that's all it is hard. We wouldn't suggest anything for you or for ourselves, or certainly for our children or our grandchildren, that wasn't going to be to their betterment, to raise the quality of their life. Someone reminded us that you all are the wealthiest African-American county in the country, not in the state, in the country. And I'm going to tell you, I could say this, me, Joe, the other fellow that just left, and Mr. Crawford, and you, we're the only light-skinned people in this room. With that being said, we are fully aware that the county has already changed, and rather than be mad about it, it should be embraced and supported, and the only way that's going to happen is to presumably a charter will be presented that will make all the difference in the world for you, your husband, your children, and your grandchildren. So learn about it. Share it with your neighbors, share it with your relatives, learn about it, so that you're making an informed decision. Indianapolis.
All right, we have one final question. So we want to get out here to school night, so we want to make sure that we get out here with people with this in order. So, one last question. All right, only one question.
So very brief, I didn't hear, and it may have been shared, but what is that plan of education for the county? Is it more town councils like this? Is there a larger campaign effort to get the word out so that people aren't afraid or don't succumb to the scare tactics that they have in the past?
All right, so that's the education board. There is mandatory, at least one public hearing in each district. For me, I go above and beyond because I'm just extra like that. So I'm going to have multiple district meetings, probably monthly. And I want to make sure that we meet people where they are, we keep the lights on, we inform them, and we let them know that there's nothing to be afraid of and that we want them to be part of the process. I'll just say we have political affiliations all across the charter. There are political affiliations all across the county. That's okay, because you know at the end of the day, we love the county, and that's what draws us together. And so, for me, I'm going to shout from the tops of the hills. Please come and find out. Don't be afraid. Don't listen to fear. Please get off the internet. Come out, find out about it for yourself. Tell your friends, tell your family. If you're for or against, that's fine. But inform yourself about it and then take that on.
Commissioner Paterson, is there a Facebook and TikTok, are there church board Facebook pages?
No, ma'am, they're not.
Not, that one of us could set up, not me, because I can't, but one of you could set up.
You forcibly do whatever you like.
Can't hear
There will be nothing from the county as far as
Right.
county support. You can do what you like. But yeah, there is not a county webpage or
We
TikTok.
understand.
Yeah.
And to the gentleman's point, we're gonna do our public hearings, one in each district, beginning in November. And then we'll get the draft. We wanna hear from you, we want you to help us with these questions. And once we have that document, I think you'll see, even more as far as public outreach of, here it is, what's your reaction? So I think the education campaign will ramp up, closer to the final public hearing.
All
All right, I'm going to be very brief. Everybody's trying to go home. Once again, just thank. First off, I'd like to thank Commissioner Paterson and the District 4 Charter Board members for the engagement. I know Commissioner Paterson pretty well is always out in the community, so I want to thank him for not hiding behind office door. So getting to my point here, I'm going to echo Ms. Stokely. This is what I wanted to say in my last point, but I kind of hurried up. The county's changed. I've been here 41 years. We need to embrace that change. We cannot keep fighting it. It's like a tidal wave. It's not going to stop. So let's embrace it. Let's get involved in our community. We are a diverse community, and I like rooms like this. I like us to be involved, and I really want to thank Mr. Warren, Ms. Britt, and Commissioner Patterson. These education moments and this feedback is what's going to make the charter a stronger thing for the county. And if you heard my comments before, I want a strong county because I'm not going anywhere. So with that said, my name is Joseph. Thank you so much.
If you want more information, please send your email to Commissioner Patterson's staff, please, so we can gather this and start sending information to you, okay? Thanks.
Thank you to the Glen Eagles HOA for supporting and sponsoring. So I think the force here, so round of applause for the Glen Eagles HOA. And please check the account website.